how's it going? Sean here. It's been a while since we last saw each other. So this is kind of like a little update, and maybe to hopefully the start of a new series of vlogs. We'll see what happens. So I am officially back out of my 6-month self-imposed break from theater. When last I left theater, I had just finished directing for First Run Theater's Spectrum Festival, which went over fantastically. And now at this point, I have directed a play reading for First Run, which is going on to be one of their main stage shows, which is super exciting. I'm not directing it, sadly. I also just finished my first ever 24 play festival as a director. I've done one before as an actor. Wow. Was it fun and exhilarating? But holy cow, the amount of stress was just, whoa. And I can't even imagine, like, the writers. You know, they have 8 hours to put together that play. Man, wow. I almost honestly, like, as somebody who has acted and directed now in one of those, I personally found being the actor far less stressful than being the director. Maybe that's me, and maybe I'm insane. I'm insane, there's no question about that. So now I'm heading off, as of right now, on this rainy day, where I'm trying to keep my eyes on the road and not look at the screen of my phone to make sure it's capturing all this, because I know it's capturing all this. I am headed to the Marcel Theater for the final night of rehearsal for Blind Pig's production of Merry Wives of Windsor. Oh, what a good show! Hilarious. It's a farce, and my God, the cast. Oh my God, I've not laughed so much during rehearsal at things that they're doing in a very long time. I love it. I absolutely love it. Love it. Oh my gosh. So, so doing that, and then, of course, at the same time, I'm in rehearsals for Sweet Smell of Success from New Line Theater, which, please come see Sweet Smell of Success. Please. It is friggin' beautiful. It's such a fun show to sing, and I think it's really yummy to hear, like, there you go. There's a little music dork speak. We talk about yummy chords. Just makes my skin tingle in, like, the best of ways when we sing it. Also a great cast. And God, I have to say, and here's why I'm hoping that this will become a series of vlogs, mostly about Sweet Smell of Success. I am kind of amazed and astonished at some of the parallels that I am starting to draw between the rise of newspaper as sensationalism and the rise of the internet in its accessibility of information. And the reason that I say that, the reason I say that is because, like, today when we hear these fantastic bits of gossip, we all immediately, at least from, like, the television organizations and from the print news, we immediately adopt, at least most of us immediately adopt some suspicion of what's being said. And that's a healthy suspicion, and we should all have it. We should all immediately have suspicions about what's being said, every single time. Now, we know that there's a fair number of people on all sides of the aisle who have their sources of news that they go to, and they believe them hand and foot without doing any other extra research. That's totally fine. Actually, really, it's not fine. It's not okay. God damn it, do your own research, please. And anyways, so what I'm finding is that there's this very interesting parallel in what people are willing to believe based on who is doing the talking, where a lot of the gossip columnists from like the 1950s and 60s, and I would argue maybe even the 70s and 80s, I don't really know how strong they were. I know that they are not nearly as powerful now as they used to be. They're not the makers and breakers of careers, except in the case of Perez Hilton, who like an asshole likes to out gay men and women. Not cool. So there's this interesting parallel between that, for me, and the sensationalism that the news cycle runs on right now, in addition to the seeming infallibility of information on the internet, which, I'm a millennial. I grew up on the internet. I take every piece of information off the internet with a grain of salt. Do I have my go-to sites? Yes. But honestly, if I'm really questioning something, or, I haven't pulled up pieces from other places, I'm going to go do my own research. But I also pay attention to a lot more news sources than your average person does. I shudder when I say this. I read National Review, a couple of articles a week, because honestly, they just have some terrible, terrible writers. I read The Economist, which is, a conservative British publication. I read regularly the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, NPR, as well as St. Louis Public Radio. I'm going to start reading Time. I'm trying to find better ways to educate myself on a myriad of topics, because I think it's important to be educated in that way to know. But anyways, my point is, as I'm rambling on here, my point is that so many people don't want to do that education, and people just want to believe what they read. They don't want to have to think about it any further than that. And I feel like Sweet Smell of Success is a fairly timely show. I think in 2002, it wasn't really as timely when it came out as it is right now, with all of the problems that we're having created by fake news, by somebody who just made up stuff to sell, right? Like the people in Macedonia, and the one was it a Trump backer who made up that one major article that went everywhere, and they're, even the Not My President website, which is a satire website, meant to satirize the idea that Democrats live in a bubble, right? Even with that site, there's all this fake news going on. There are careers that are being made and destroyed by fake news, by sensationalism, by somebody deciding they were going to write something that was not true and get enough people to believe it that it becomes truth. And for me, I find it incredibly fascinating that is one of the things that we're kind of looking at in this musical. I don't want to give away too much of the story, but, we are talking about gossip columnists. We are talking about 1950s New York. And, if you know the name Walter Winchell, you know how damningly influential he was. Almost like his own political machine could make or break a career. And, so that's kind of what we're dealing with in this musical. And I think it's timely, and I think it is important for people to see right now. If I had to give a tagline to Sweet Smell of Success, it would be something along the lines of the beginnings of fake news, or, some bullshit like that. So that's my 2 cents for the day. I'm going to get back to driving because I always forget that St. Louis people forget how to drive in the rain. See you guys.